So I just sent that to Ian as a drive link instead of like a YouTube video.
That's the beginning of the podcast. Is Kevin talking about Google Drive?
Oh no! Wait.
We're working. We're working double time. Some of us working double time. What are you doing up over there, Kevin? You submitting videos for
I'm
approvals?
submitting videos. I'm working. I'm about to publish a video. So
interesting, considering that you should be recording a podcast. The greatest hour of everyone's week who listens to this. Is that right?
I can do both at the same time. I can edit my video.
Kevin should do the intro or whatever he's filming on the blue screen.
Kevin, that blue screen is far too nice.
Welcome to Safety Third. I'm your host, and here is William Osman, and here is Nigel.
Are you gonna pull down your asbestos ceiling?
Yeah.
All right, I did the math. This hour podcast that we do is wait, times 100. Am I doing this right? Is 0.6% of each person's week that listens to it. Does that sound right? 0.6%?
I mean, yeah, that probably is right.
It's about 60% of my work week.
It's 168 hours a week. So this 0.6% of your week is the best percent of your week. Leave a comment down below if that's true. This video's gonna have 0 comments.
Yeah.
Shit.
Wait, Kevin, what's your video?
Rocket knife.
Oh.
I'm making a new video too. My new video is going to publish as well. Is this the week? Is this the week where everybody publishes? Have you noticed that everybody seems to publish at the same time?
I wonder why that is.
Well, sometimes it's like sponsored deadlines, but I think this...
It.
No. Like something surpasses. Like this is bigger than sponsored.
You think there's
deadlines.
some kind of like cycle that all the YouTubers sync up to? Like some kind of solar moon phenomenon?
Yeah.
I just don't post, so I'm not part of this.
That's true. How do you pay your bills?
It's a question that,
The power goes off.
yeah, just...
Boo. Have you talked about what your idea is? I think the video you're doing is probably...
illegal.
I don't want to say it's the greatest idea ever, but it's up there.
It's up there with like time spent kind of building and making and doing things.
Yeah.
'Cause I feel like it's such a cool idea that I really am like trying to spend a lot more time doing it. And like I want it to be perfect,
Yeah, if I saw that title thumbnail like describing what it is, there's no way I wouldn't watch it.
Here's the thing. The rough cut is extremely rough. Like I'm going through it and I'm like, oh no.
Yeah,
Like I mean,
What's rough about it?
the cool stuff, like, because it's kind of like
say what it is. Say what it is.
it's like a rocket knife. I did the old rocket knife video, but this new rocket knife, it just has a lot more knives on it, and it's a lot bigger rocket.
A lot more rocket and a lot more knife. How much more rocket is there and how much more knife is there?
About 6 times the knives and about 20 times the rocket.
Oh, damn.
So it's like
That's 120 times the power.
it's going to be. I better get 120 times the views.
Yeah, exactly.
I did that when I was younger. I made 2-inch PVC rocket motors, which is basically a pipe bomb. Don't do this. I think we talked about this before. And maybe my fuel just wasn't as good. But I don't remember them having anywhere near as much power as what I've seen from the clips you showed me. Like,
I think it did explode in your video. That might.
Yeah. Was it? How much fuel was in these rockets? 2 pounds?
Mine about 1 pound, like 480 grams.
What was the diameter? The internal diameter or the diameter of the fuel?
1.5 inches.
Yeah, I think mine just sucked.
So I don't know. I did like. There's a lot of programs. I don't know if you use any kind of help to make them or not, but
No.
everything pretty much has to be like really specific. Like there's an ideal nozzle diameter, like for the throat of the nozzle.
Mine was Home Depot
Ideal.
washers with 2 nails running through the sidewalls of the tube to suspend the washer, and then I used plumber's putty to create like a ceramic nozzle.
That sounds really
I tried that too.
high
That was
tech.
my first test, and guess what happened? Guess what happened?
It exploded.
It exploded.
Huh.
So
This is very interesting results.
Yeah. Wait, Kevin, I never saw the sample videos.
He posted them.
I posted them.
Yeah, but
Why
I've been in a coma. When did you post it?
Like a week ago.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I was in Toronto.
Oh, I think
Alan.
you were. Yeah, you were hanging out with Alan up at.
Yeah, I was gonna come, and then I had to finish this video.
Classic
So
YouTuber excuse.
Where is Alan?
I don't know.
I haven't talked to him in I have no idea where he is, and I haven't talked to him in over a
Yeah,
week.
he's supposed to be here.
Here,
on the
yeah,
podcast.
but he hasn't responded to anybody on Discord. But he's kind of like Discord boomer. And I was supposed to go to Canada to come up and visit you, and James and Evan Kale, and that didn't happen. Did you meet Evan Kale?
I did.
How was that?
He told me that I was the greatest
fraud?
human being he's ever met.
That's how you know he's lying.
He didn't tell me that. He was a cool guy. I don't want to ruin Alan's amazing documentary.
Is he filming? No. Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever. Alan can do what Alan wants.
Alan's documentary almost failed though because he just he met Evan and then talked to him for 5 minutes. He goes, "You know what? I don't need to make this documentary." I'm like, "What are you talking about? You came all the way here." Alan's like, "Nope.
Yeah.
I got what I needed." And we're like, "What?"
Who is Evan Kale? For people who don't know,
Oh, yeah.
Fucking podcast pro gamer. Evan Kale is if you took Evan Kale and maybe me and who's the third person? There was one and Filthy Frank, and you made a baby, you'd get Michael Reeves. So Evan Kale, I think, is, you can go look at his old videos. Well, he privated a bunch of them. Michael Reeves has been, left a bunch of comments on them, and I think that if you look at Evan's videos and Michael's videos, there's a lot of crossovers. Like, if you like Michael Reeves' videos, you'll probably also like Evan Kale videos. You probably know who Evan Kale is. You just haven't thought of it for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would make these just weird kind of little technology things like robots, but kind of not robots. He would do cool stuff, but less big. It was closer to the shitty robot territory, but it was never robots. It was
also pretty educational at the same time. It wasn't just
but he was kind of
kind of interesting inventions or something.
Right. The inventions themselves were less interesting than the persona of Evan Kale.
Yeah.
Who is almost kind of feels schizophrenic or something. Just very I don't know how to describe it. Very chaotic in a not normal way. And he stopped making videos, and he privated a bunch of his videos. And Alan wanted to make a thing talking about why. He wanted to explore why. It's hard. It's hard to I've been talking. Okay. Oh man, the deeper I get into YouTuber, the more slow I go with making videos. The bigger I want to do stuff.
Mm.
And
it's a trap, man.
It is a trap, but it's also kind of an artist thing where it's interesting stories deserve, in my mind, to be properly fleshed out. And filming a thing about Evan Kale, because I've got a couple of them right now that are in my back pocket that we've been working on. One of them is spending, time with MrBeast, right? So living with MrBeast for some amount of time. Already did that, already filmed it. I don't really know what to do with it, and we've been having a big conversation, Ian Doki, who's helping me do everything now, about what it is, because it's not something that I would normally do. It's why would I go live with MrBeast, right? And it's to me, there's something really interesting in what MrBeast is and my experience with old YouTube. And the more we talk about it, the more I kind of get in my own head about thinking nobody cares, right? Does anybody care about old YouTube?
Care.
Does anybody care? I mean, I know you care, but that's the problem, is we're kind of YouTube
Kevin, you're from old
boomers.
We're boomers, man.
We're not dead. There's definitely a generation of dead YouTubers,
not dead yet.
No offense, but Kasim G, Shay Carl, Lisa Nova.
You don't need to name anybody.
No, I'm trying to build up
Just
this
saying that
timeline.
you don't have to.
NileRed.
NileRed, Nile Blue.
Dead too soon.
William Osman 2.
William Osman 2, William Osman 1.
Oh no, rest in
I mean
peace.
that in jest. They're not actually dead. They just are like they're so early, right? Because you've got people from the era of like boomer YouTube, which is kind of us, but we came a few years after that, like ancient YouTube.
We came like
And-
many years after, yeah.
Well, because 2000, it was like 2006, 2007, and then things were picking up to
I would
2010,
say
like 2010.
There was two real like ultimate turning points in YouTube. The first was when it was just made, and like you said, some of the people you named started like that early.
Yeah.
And it's like, but then the turning point was they didn't make money until I think like 2012 or something.
I would say
I'm saying-
2010 was the turning
Or sorry,
point.
they
Like,
made money, but it wasn't open. It was like 2012 or something is when YouTube's like anybody. I think
that was the beginning of the industrial revolution of YouTube. Was like 2010 was kind of like the trajectory began, right? Where people could see they could see the light at the end of the tunnel. Everyone was starting to like connect the dots about monetizing what essentially was more of a creative platform.
Yeah.
People were doing it privately, but then they started doing it commercially, like embedded in the platform with, MCNs and running ads.
Oh yeah,
and yada,
yeah,
yada.
yeah.
So, and then like Maker Studios was, like Kasim G, Shay Carl, Lisa
Yeah.
Nova. There's a whole handful, and there's a bunch of interesting stuff there, and a bunch of interesting like drama.
Okay,
and
yeah,
that's
you're
like the YouTube that I grew up with.
I feel like it had an inflection when basically you didn't have to be part of that to make money, right? So, but at the same
No.
time, no one really viewed YouTube and online stuff as something that you could just do to make money. And it was really like 2013, 2014,
Yeah.
I think is when people started the idea came forward. Because even when I put my first video up in 2014, the idea of making money on it was just not really talked about or
If
at all.
you made YouTube videos in 2010, you were a loser.
Yes.
If you make videos,
Well,
in
no, you were perceived as a
2022
loser. Yeah.
No. You're a
You
loser.
were
and
a
if you make
loser.
videos in 2022, you make money, and you're also a loser.
In
Yeah.
2012, nobody, not a single kid, ever said that they wanted to be a YouTuber.
No.
That it just didn't exist.
Well, no.
Maybe
and
not
Kevin,
a kid,
if
but
you
like
said you wanted to be a YouTuber, people were like, "You're cringe."
right.
But now people, they want to do YouTube. They want to do, be a
still
social
think they're
media.
Yeah, you're still cringe.
So
You
I guess
just can get paid to
I'm
be
getting at
cringe.
is like, to me, I think it's interesting how we got from the early YouTube days where
Yeah.
people were modeling themselves more after like the creative entertainment industry, and things have changed into what it is now, which is it's like kind of its own domain. Like no one is copying TV, no one's copying movies. Like that was the goal, right? It's like, how do you go from like YouTube is kind of like this platform that I can springboard into the media industry, and now all of a sudden it kind of like became its own industry. And I think that means a lot of there's good things, but there's also like a lot of bad things. And I don't know if people have any interest in going into that kind of journey and using living with MrBeast essentially as the kind of the catalyst of like, here is essentially the cream of the crop right now. Like this is YouTube. Like if I had to put one face on the cover of YouTube, it would probably be Jimmy. For a while it was like PewDiePie or Casey Neistat or yada yada.
Yeah, but
and
it's for sure,
it's Jimmy, right? And it's like, dude, they hire Will Smith. They were like paying Will Smith to make videos on the platform. YouTube was hiring him, right? Like they paid him. Like they wanted these faces. Now all of a sudden you've got this guy who like became the face, and the platform didn't pay him anything. I don't know. Like I don't know. Like, is it harder to make videos now than it used to be? Like for an up and comer, like if you were to start from scratch right now, do you think you could do it in the same way that you did it when you did it?
I think the answer is both yes and no.
Do you think that growing up and kind of growing your legs in old YouTube was a better and more successful trajectory than trying to do that now? Like it's not, is the
No.
market right now going to hinder you? It's, is the market going to keep you from learning how to do
So,
it in a good way? Does that make sense? Like a softer takeoff or a softer landing?
Yeah,
Like,
so I think that I started in 2014. Kevin was,
Yeah.
I think you're like 2011 or
but
something.
what does that
or
mean?
earlier.
You started in 2014. How long had you been thinking about it for?
No, I didn't think about YouTube very long. I just like posted.
But you knew it was a thing before 2014.
Yeah, but I didn't put any thought into making YouTube videos.
But you watched YouTube videos.
Yeah, vaguely.
Well, you knew what it was. How would you make videos if you didn't know what it was?
Yeah, no, obviously knew what to me it was just a video hosting like meme platform. I just
Right.
like I'd watch like 30-second memes on it. Like it wasn't really either way. Though I was going to say that I think that joining early, like I think Kevin, yeah, you were like 2011 or something, vaguely maybe.
2013, but
Okay,
that
let's
was
say-
my second channel.
Okay, but let's
So
say
I was-
let's say 2013.
Yeah.
I posted my first video in 2014. I think Will, you were like 2016 or
Correct.
2015.
Well,
I mean
on the
like
current
of your
channel, yeah.
of your
Yeah,
current
yeah.
channel.
Yeah.
I think that like you objectively, I did not have a clue what I was doing for like 4 to 5 years, but I
No.
think the difference is that YouTube was also kind of not knowing what it was doing. So my video in comparison to everyone else was not.
Yeah, people were okay with watching a video
That
where the guy
wasn't-
doesn't know what they're doing versus today.
Yeah, so I'm saying that like I was able to make money and grow a platform, whereas I think if you started now with a crappy video, it would be much you won't be able to be financially stable for a longer time until you get that understanding, which might prevent you from doing it at all.
Okay, let's approach it from a different angle because this is kind of like the surface level that I'm trying to get underneath.
Okay.
Do you think that the content you watched before you started making videos affected the way you made videos?
Short answer.
Where did the inspiration
I'd
to
say
make
yeah.
videos
Yeah,
come
I
from?
think it did. I would say it did.
Do you think watching an old backyard scientist video and then wanting to make your own version of it is a lower barrier to entry than watching a MrBeast video and then trying to make your first YouTube video?
I see what you're saying. Yeah, for sure.
What is your expectation as a new creator making, like when you go to make your first video? How do you synthesize what that video is about? Like, what story are you telling, and where did you learn how to tell a story? Do you think seeing these like very kind of explosive, absolute like top tier, high dollar pieces of content that dominate the platform makes it difficult for people to kind of get up and running with their first videos? Because that's like the expectation that lives within their head is they have to compete with that.
I think so.
Yeah.
But on the
I'd
other
say
hand,
yeah.
it doesn't have to be like that because there's, a lot of people who make kind of by today's standards really kind of stupid and, unpolished videos, and they do great. Like most of TikTok, honestly.
I think it matters which, like what demographic or what kind of content you're making. So for example, when I started, I did watch Kevin's videos and see, oh, that's how he filmed it, that's how he did it. But it's just like, again, it was, it's just a guy with a camera in his backyard. It felt very accessible. So when I was just a guy with a camera, I was kind of like 50% of what Kevin was doing. Whereas I can see now where they're like, oh, okay, they have all these gadgets. There's a whole, they've done all of these things. Kevin, like you said, you're like perfecting the story. And as a guy just starting, I'm like, dude, I have like 3 days to make this video after work.
Yeah.
Like, I can't do
exactly.
that. So I could see that someone sees that and goes, I just can't do it. And I can see that being like a big barrier of entry. And especially in certain realms, now for like the science stuff, I feel like it would just make a lot of people give up because there's just so much time investment and money investment that they're like, well, everything I make is crap.
Yeah.
And they just quit.
So I think like, to me, my question is like, what is the most interesting story to explore? Is it, if anybody listening to this has, an opinion, like, do you want to hear about what I think it's like to be a new creator now? Like, do people have interest in becoming YouTubers themselves? Do they want to hear about kind of the history of YouTube, or do they want to hear about like what like I think there's like a couple different angles. It's, one, new creators. What is it like to be a new creator right now versus back then, and trying to analyze and think about and, talk to people and from then and now and just put together a story about what can you do now to try to succeed if everyone does collectively agree it is a little bit more difficult to start now.
Are you thinking about maybe more like literally what it's like to be with MrBeast for 24 hours or what his schedule is like?
Well, that's the thing is we filmed that and I just don't know what to do with it because it's just kind of like I'm with MrBeast and it's like, who cares, right? I know people are going to watch it, but they're not going to watch it for the reason that I want them to watch it.
I think it's harder going just to comment on like difficulty of getting started. I just want to say, I think it's motivationally much harder, but the reason why TikTok and other stuff has taken off, I think is kind of a response to how high effort everything has become. And it created a vacuum where I'm like, I just want to see a guy like throw something at a wall. But then Kevin's like, no, I need a whole story. I need this. And it has to be a 12-minute video.
Yeah.
But then there's a vacuum of kind of easy access content. So it's like, weirdly enough, that market is still there. But I think it's easy to see what you think is expected of you and then just completely give up and not try. But there still is, small science stuff that doesn't need a huge thing, and you can get a pretty decent following.
So what do you think is like the most interesting angle? Is it the new creator angle? Is it talking about how like YouTube as a whole and analyzing like, is the system and the algorithm, is it actually kind of eating itself alive, where it's allowing people to get a lot of views and publish content and make money, but it's kind of like it's stagnating or choking growth at the bottom, where people are having a more difficult time coming up. And so it's kind of like, commentary on the platform and, like the experience that people think that we have with YouTube versus the experience we actually have, with YouTube. Or is it like looking at kind of what people think being a successful YouTuber is, like what I thought about YouTube when I came into it, and what I think about now, and am I just an old man who's like a little bit more crusty, or have things changed drastically? Like, did the pandemic drastically change the YouTube ecosystem? Like, is there less of a community than there used to be? Like, I don't know if you guys feel like that, but to me it kind of feels like I don't really associate any person with the platform anymore. It used to be like for a while, Casey Neistat, right, was like a poster child, or, Logan Paul. And now it kind of just feels like this dumping ground for videos. And there's not really anything that's like YouTube.
There's no way. And every time I go on YouTube, it's like I discover that I've been completely like isolated in one corner of YouTube. And I hear about all these other people. And it's like, I don't know about them. YouTube never shows me any of their videos. They're not popping up on trending.
Right.
They're not getting shown to me in the feed.
And this is like, because I've talked to a couple people that work there, and they've said, like, I think they didn't really understand what I was asking, where I was talking about like the long-term problems that the algorithm might cause. Like, just because the algorithm's doing a really good job delivering content, which I think it does. I think they've created the perfect algorithm. But do you know what the perfect food is? It's like heroin.
Yeah,
but you can't
exactly.
You can't just eat heroin.
But heroin gives you everything that you need, which is just dopamine. Like, you only need dopamine. Like, you just need to feel good. Like, that's your entire life revolves around feeling good.
You're
Like,
gonna have to add some sugar to that heroin.
You could, but like,
and the YouTube algorithm just curates like the highest quality and the most potent and
and I think there's a feedback loop where like it causes creators to only like feed into that drip. And part of me thinks that you're kind of like you're like starving people, or building up like a really like a tolerance to stuff, and like kind of perpetuating this perfect delivery system.
I think that's true for sure. And the only way I discover new creators now is on YouTube Shorts, is by like going through the shorts, and then I find somebody I like, and wow, look, they have like a channel and they only have 100,000 or 50,000 subscribers, but they've been doing this for years and I've never seen their videos before. So I think that maybe that's changing.
So I don't know. I mean, what seems the most interesting? Is it about, up and comers? Is it about the platform itself like being too good? Is it about me trying to figure out if I'm an old man yelling at the clouds, or if it actually does feel a little bit more vacant? Like, it feels more like a giant convention center that's got a single table in the middle, and you're just kind of like, there's too much space in here for how little stuff there is. Like, it just feels vacant, and I don't know if that's me. I don't know if it was the pandemic. I don't know if it's the platform. I have no idea what it is.
You're going to hate me when I say that all of those ideas sound good, and I think that there's a way to probably tie it all into each other without like focusing on one thing too much.
I have an answer, or two answers.
Yeah, just make
3 answers.
Videos.
I have as many answers as you want. No.
Okay.
One thing I'd say is I do think the pandemic played a lot, and the problem is, especially with TikTok and other platforms, a lot of creators grew on them, but then they weren't able to actually. There's no place to meet them. They all stayed within their own bubble. So then now when things open up again, it's kind of like people just aren't used to doing things.
You remember how we met, right?
VidCon.
Do you know who didn't have any participation in like sponsoring VidCon this year?
YouTube.
YouTube.
Yeah.
And it's like, we met and we're doing this because of YouTube. But I also feel like YouTube's just sort of like not doing that or providing those opportunities anymore.
I don't know why they weren't the sponsor of VidCon, but I just wanted to comment on the ideas you have. My general answer...
They're shit.
What?
He's going to say they're shit.
My answer is they're all bad. No. I don't know. I feel like focusing on what really matters to you, which is probably, like Kevin said, a mix of all these different things. Just kind of like figuring out what story you personally want to tell.
Yeah, I guess I'm worried about like being too negative. Like after the I'm done video where it was just a total.
I thought you were done.
I mean, it's like a breakdown for a variety of reasons. Like I almost have a hard time referencing certain things in videos because like I'm trying to stay away from those kinds of like not mentalities. But it was a combination of crunched. Like I was just too crunched. I was like trying to keep up with the space. I could go in it for days, and I feel like I don't even really want to go down that rabbit hole. But it had me thinking a lot about a lot of different things, about, doing YouTube videos and having it be kind of like this dream job, but also at the same time, like causing all these, like mental anguish issues and trying to figure out like what am I doing wrong? Like, why am I having so much trouble doing this? Cause like, I like making videos and I like doing stuff, but there was just this, there was this junction that I was having trouble with. And, it's hard to explain it to people. Cause a lot of, some people will just be like, oh, well, you should be happy people are watching your videos. And it's like, I am, but I'm also, struggling like a lot.
The way that I explain it, and I've told people this, is it feels like you're in a perpetual exam period. So it's like the moment you finish one exam, you're scrambling to study for the next one, and you don't even have time to celebrate because once you write that one exam, you're kind of scared you failed, but you also don't have time to think too much about it because you have to get started studying for your next one. So if you're posting on like a monthly basis, that's what it would be. Like it takes you a month of constant filming and editing. The moment you're done, you're like, well, I better start again or else I won't be done for the next one.
I feel like content is going to come back around to where it was in the early days of YouTube, kind of more to a more impersonal kind of like you're hanging out with the person more than like a higher produced video with a story. And I think that's why a lot of these content like collectives do good, like say offline TV videos. And I think Twitch streamers kind of have that going on. Like look at TikTok and look at YouTube shorts. It all feels more personal kind of and less like this big beast. And it feels like less of a hurdle to jump in and watch the video.
I feel like we talked a bit about it when you were here. And I kind of like, I feel like there's some stuff I do want to save. Like if I do like the documentary or whatever it is.
A documentary.
Exploration.
You're now
I don't want to call it
a
documentary. I'm just saying if it's longer, like this is a video that you can't do in like 8 minutes. Like this is probably a 30-minute video.
That's good.
If not more.
Daps?
Yeah.
So Daps is for people who don't know, he's like a member of our Safety Third community Discord. He hangs out on there. He also has a YouTube channel, and he got 800,000 subscribers, almost 900,000 now in like 1 year. And he pretty much just posts shit posts. Like they're like meme videos, but it's him. He's not like doing meme edits or anything like that. And he got a ton of views, a ton of subscribers, and he kind of quit. It was too much pressure for him. He kind of, I don't know. He says he got bored with it. But
that's the thing is nobody will give you the real answer. And I know for a fact there's no way he got bored with it. 100%. It's much deeper and much more like complainy than that. And I
feel like there's a way to talk about it without coming off as, complainy.
I tried to do it when I did it and people still called me complainy, which is fine. But I just like,
my point is you can still do it. Like it's still possible to grow on YouTube. And I think he had success because he is kind of like the opposite of what most YouTube is right now.
Yeah.
It's just some dude making funny videos.
I definitely want to talk to him about it. I have a list of people that I would want to talk to in this to try to like explore the idea. But and I like, like Kevin, I think has a good perspective from just being on the platform for so long. You're like one of those trees that was alive when the dinosaurs were alive.
How many? With 8 million rings.
Right. We're gonna cut Kevin open and see how many rings he's got. But like the original reason that I wanted to film the 24 hours with MrBeast, is I wanted to like see if I thought he was happy.
I think that's a pretty decent, like.
Yeah, but like also I had like just done a video about, you know, like dealing with negativity on the platform and kind of, you know, being a whiny ass about it and sort of like, and I you know, like PewDiePie has, remember the video he did ages ago where he talked about positivity and how there's like this expectation of positivity and how he was extremely like not having a good time, but every video he made was putting that smile on, you know, putting his Joker makeup on.
I think that it's kind of that's just part of being a public personality, is that there are situations where you can show certain things, but it's like there are situations where you kind of can't, because whether you want to think about it or not, like that, the videos you make are they're some sort of presentation, right?
Yeah, I just don't want people to think I'm miserable. Like I'm not miserable. I just feel like when you talk about stuff like this, they think you're miserable.
I think
it's like no.
The way that you can talk about, like if you, there is a way to talk about it without coming across as sounding like you're just complaining about it, right?
Yeah, but you know the problem with a video like this is that it has to be essentially about a problem. Otherwise, why are you sharing it with people?
Yeah.
So it's like inherently documentaries are like kind of negative. Like they're always about something that people will find interesting, and your brain is sort of tuned to that negativity. So like even from making normal videos, there's always like a problem usually. Like not always, but I've noticed that those tend to do better when you have a problem.
So my answer to you too would be the fact that you still do YouTube, right? Means that the minuscule amount of pleasure outweighs the what's it called, the misery. But it's if you can, I mean, so there's clearly a reason why you still do YouTube. So I feel like if you did do a documentary where it's like, let's say mildly negative, but then it ends on the note of being like, despite this, I'm still doing it because of this, which is true. I'm assuming it's like, then that's fine. If it's just an entire video of you saying bad, and then overall bad, it's just kind of like, okay, that's just a complaint video.
I have an answer. I don't know if I want to share it here, but I would say the fact that I feel like there's not a strong community is probably the biggest pointer as to like my overarching feelings. Like I like that. That's why I got into YouTube. Yeah. Was because of the idea of this like physical place that you could imagine YouTube existing. Kind of like the first VidCon I went to in 2018. Like the first VidCon I went to in 2018, that was YouTube. And I feel like that doesn't exist anymore. And I can't tell if it's because I'm an old man yelling at the clouds.
It sounds a little bit like an old man.
I think a lot of it is the pandemic, though, to be honest. Because even before that, like in 2019, my friends that I grew up with or have known for years, it was like every single weekend. You were at somebody's house, something was happening. People were always inviting you to events. This year,
yeah, totally.
Kind of
either
like
that changed or you're a loser now.
No, the moment because we had pretty harsh shutdowns now. we had pretty harsh shutdowns in 2020, but it was very strong. It went from seeing the same people almost every single weekend to not seeing them for a year and a half or more. Yeah. And then it's like a lot of them I just barely talk to. And then I even see it with my brother. I used to do something with my brother and some of my other friends like all the time. And even at our office, people are very lazy about doing stuff in the evening. I'll be like, let's go do this. I kind of want to just go home and like, and it's not just getting old. It's that there was a time where you did that every single day and there was no other option. And a friend of mine even told me the other day.
I think that's getting old.
No, he goes,
it's the mRNA spike proteins.
But my friend
in your brain
told me, he goes, I just had a bunch of people over to my house the other day to watch a UFC fight. And he goes, I felt nervous. And he goes, not because of like being loud from my neighbors or anything. He goes, I felt I was doing something wrong. He goes, I felt that if I told people that I had a whole get together, that people would look at me going, ooh, you're going to spread something. So he goes,
I mean, I'm not saying he's weird, but that whole phenomenon's weird because I think it's kind of common.
Yeah. But he's just saying that even now, which you've been able to have get-togethers here for like a long time, he still is like ooh, I don't know if people are gonna judge me for this. So he's now like
Kind of
more
a little
hesitant.
bit of like PTSD energy.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Like,
Did you ever feel
yeah.
anything like that, Will?
Yeah, when I think it was like 2020 December, we went to our family's house for I think Christmas or Thanksgiving or something, and I was filming a video where we were making old Jello recipes
yeah, I remember that,
in
yeah.
Chelsea, and I felt like I was gonna get in trouble for posting a video of me going to family
Yeah.
for the holidays.
Yeah, but that's
definitely-
different than feeling like guilty.
Yeah, but that's what it was. It was like I
Isn't it
felt like I was
broader,
sort
like
of
a
like there was
social
this
pressure,
pressure. Yeah.
it's still, it for sure is still a thing that people are dealing with. Like I know, for example, Zach, one of my friends who works with me, he went to a concert and he got COVID. This was like a month ago. And he was telling me that he felt very judged for it because he would tell people he got COVID for going to a concert and they'd be like, oh, well, what? Oh, it was like this type of concert? Oh, well, what were you thinking? And then like he felt guilt for it. And then he could tell when someone else would be like, oh, I'm going to go out for a party, a Halloween party at a club. People would be like, oh, why do you have to go and do that? So there
And this is only a month ago?
what?
What you're taught, your story, like your example.
Yeah.
This only happened like,
Because,
that's so weird. I feel like it's so different here in America.
but if you get COVID, for example, like in the workplace, we're like, you can't come in while you have COVID. You're going to infect all of us. So then he's kind of like stuck at home.
Every time I go somewhere, I just embrace it. I'm like, well, here we go.
I know, but the one exception I make is if someone has it at the workplace, it's like if everyone catches it, we're just shut down.
Here's my thought. Like I've got all the vaccinations. I wash my hands a shit ton. I try to be as safe as possible. At some point, you just gotta get on the airplane. You gotta pull on the highway. You gotta get on the elevator. Like you might die. Yeah,
No, but I
right.
agree.
I've done everything I can.
But
and if I die,
But I totally agree. But it's like, just if someone has a cold, I'm going to be like, if you can work from home, you should just work from home. Like, there's no point in getting it. Before 2019,
Right.
Reggie came in with a cold and he infected Corey. And Corey was...
that's kind of a toxic work culture that it just exists in like the West of showing up to work no matter what.
Yeah, I'd say that is another reason why we're so different. When we were in Japan, I was reading like an article in the paper. I was like translating it with my phone, and they were saying that kids over there, they don't take their mask off, like even for
Yeah, you were
PE,
telling me
because
that,
they feel
yeah.
so secure with it. And you know, the teacher would say, "Okay, take your mask off. You're running around the track," and only like a third of the class did, and then another half the class like
They're just like
pulled
fearful.
it down. Yeah, so I think that's kind of a like definitely unintended side effect is creating some kind of like
I think
I don't know, anxiety in kids.
I think for
I don't know how prevalent that is either, because Japan is also kind of a little bit
Weird.
yeah.
biased towards
But-
that.
Kind of what Will just said, where he's like, at some point you got to just like rip off the Band-Aid and, you know, get on the highway. I think even having that mentality is part of the problem, in the sense that like that was how you had to get out of the hole, right? You're like, I'm vaccinated. What more can I do? But then for the first several things first few things you go to, you're like, is this going to take me out? Is this going to be like the COVID hit? And then only then it kind of eases up. But even then, like when we went to VidCon, I was like, we're probably going to get slaughtered. And pretty much everyone I know got COVID.
It's going to happen.
But I'm just saying, like, just having that, where there's like this perceived risk, I think people are hesitant to be like, oh, I don't want to have 30 people at my house. What happens if one guy is sick and doesn't tell us and then we all get smoked? I'll just have a small get together of 5 people. It's like it just limits people from, you know, taking that extra social step. And I think that still is a thing today. Like my friends used to always have get-togethers at their house, and now when I've asked them, they go,
used to invite me. Now they don't invite me.
well, no, they
You know what?
only invite like 5 or 6 people. When you ask why, they go,
and it's never me.
well, things on.
I think what you just said is the perfect analogy to old YouTube versus YouTube.
old nude tube.
Old YouTube versus
nude tube.
I am hungry. I haven't eaten dinner yet.
So you're
But
thinking of
basically,
nudes?
like, you know, the risk. Nobody's afraid to really take the risk because they're more worried about getting, you know, they're worried about getting judged by other people. They're worried about people like, you know, comparing themselves to other people, or they're like the pressure on them. And I think back then there wasn't really as much pressure. And, you know, if you feel like there's a risk you're not going to do
You're
it.
going to stay a bit safer. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you can't really be creative and worry about what people are going to think about you or your
That's
video.
true. I mean, that's
You
definitely
kind of just have to not care
Kevin,
what people
but
think.
I used to upload videos without even watching them. I would just render
Exactly.
and upload.
But now it's like, you know, people start picking your videos apart and you kind of feel more self-conscious about it. And that leads to
but I think
more fear.
I still think it's deeper. I still think that there's something like
Psychologist William
subconscious where it's like you the bar in your head is set too high. It's like if I'm gonna draw a picture or make a comic, it has to be funny. Like
Yeah, 'cause that's the fear.
But is it fear of being judged or is it fear of being like not performing?
I think there's just a lot of expectations you feel that your audience has.
You know, if you don't take the risk and just do it, then there's no possible way you can get any sort of reward from it.
But then why are you
No.
making videos? Right? So it's like, are you making videos so that people watch them? Are you making videos so that because you think you can make money? Are you making videos because it's like a fun thing to do or there's some part of it that you enjoy?
I think that no matter what the answer is, feeling like you're not making a video because you're afraid what somebody else will think, that's like all in your head because people will like it and they won't even notice half of the stuff that you notice in the video. Like I said that this cut was kind of rough for the video I just sent in to get reviewed. You know, if I showed that to my mom, she would like it.
Yeah.
You know, if I showed it to you guys right now, you'd probably think it was a
And
finished video or close to it.
The thing too that's rough
Even
when
me?
you're editing, I think what's weird when you're editing stuff is that you've seen the clips so many times that you know all the nuances. But when you show it to somebody once, which most people watch the video once, maybe twice, like, you know, if you're lucky, but it's like usually once, they've never seen it before. So it's kind of like someone just telling you something that you've never heard before and like it feels like the information is too quick. Things
how
just
many
pass
times have you
right
gone
by
through the
them.
comments
Like they're just
of a video and they're like, oh, I like this part at, you know, whatever timestamp. And then you click on it and you're like, oh, I totally missed that part. You know, you were thinking about what they said or something.
Well, because you're just like you're seeing all these images for the first time. So you're like, oh, hey, there's that thing. Sometimes you're not even, while you're looking at one thing, you're not even hearing what you're saying. Or they're listening to you and they kind of zone out from what's on the screen. They look away at their phone. And it's like you're meticulously editing and doing all these things. And some of them, they don't even notice.
So why do you think that a lot of, you know, most of the groundbreaking works come from newer artists in whatever field? You know, like
It's like a
music,
startup.
actors.
Because they're willing to take the risk, and it's also a great filter as well. Where if you've got a bunch of people doing stuff, of course you're going to see the success, and so there's always someone doing something weird, and sometimes it works really well.
But I think to Kevin's point, at the same time, the people who, like you said, some people like, you know, faded away. You know, the old dinosaurs of YouTube vanished.
Yeah, why didn't they stay great?
But I think that the people who there are some people who've managed to kind of stay that way. They just changed. They changed their content. They fundamentally took a risk to do things differently. And then they got a new audience. The people who were watching them were revitalized because they see something new. I think if you stop taking risks, you kind of just fall apart. But I do think that a lot of people at the top, even if they are taking a lot of risks, they do become much more measured out of like this fear of, you know, backlash.
What's the most like real job you've had working with other people? Not YouTube.
Real jobs. I can't remember those.
Like in a
Dunkin'
lab
Donuts?
or something?
Dunkin'
You
Donuts.
worked at Dunkin'?
I worked at a
Yeah,
grocery store.
I had
I
a
worked in the
couple-
lab. Wait,
What was the best part of working at the grocery store?
the customers. It was fantastic speaking to each and every super polite customer who came in.
I don't believe
No,
it.
the weird
Actually,
thing
like,
is my
I would
customers.
say it is. I worked at a grocery store too.
My customers were super polite and fun, but that was a
that's
very atypical experience.
Yeah.
It was hanging out with
Socializing.
like your coworkers and stuff.
And I think that is like something that is hard to describe. Like it's a job, but the social aspect of it is the part I enjoy the most. Like it's like, you know, people who are doing the same thing as you, you're kind of in the same boat, you're in the same struggle. Like your boss is an asshole, you share the same boss, common enemy, high five, let's go do drugs after work.
That's way too accurate to my time in the grocery store.
Yeah.
And I think that like it's very similar on YouTube, except it's very easy to not have that socialization because you're doing everything by yourself. And I used to do everything with John, but that stopped at some point. And I kind of noticed that it was harder for me to do things because I was just in a room doing stuff by myself. Like I kind of lost the like camaraderie part of it. And I think that on the platform on YouTube, that's probably what I enjoy the most is that camaraderie. Like, you know, they say you never want to be the smartest person in the room.
It's true.
You don't, because you'll never aspire to do more or enough. Like if you're in a room full of very smart people, it's going to make you feel like you need to up your game. It's going to make you try harder. It's going to make you bust your ass. And that is the experience I've had working at normal jobs with a bunch of very smart people. It was like, holy shit, these guys are super smart. I want to do these things. And I would try stuff and I'd ask questions. And I think it's basically how I learned everything that I know now is that pressure it put on me and the sort of door, the window it opened so I could see what the possibilities are. And I think that I used to feel more strongly about that on YouTube when it was more communal, you know, whether it's the platform or the pandemic or whatnot. And I think there's something a little bit, you know, sad about losing that in any capacity. Like less events or people just, you know, straying away from collaborative content because they kind of perform worse typically. I mean, like, could you imagine doing a collaboration video on NileRed?
Well, I mean, as a point of that, it's a bad example because as a point, I never did collabs, even when like in 2014.
Right.
I was collabs are lame.
Well, that's what I'm saying is that sort of what has happened is collaborations have been deemed inferior.
Oh, I deem them inferior because I just don't like them from the very beginning. I've never collabed.
But people typically do them poorly. I mean, not typically, but a lot of times do them poorly. And so it's sort of built up a bad rap. And it kind of just feels like some people, I don't know if they were making fun of me or if they were endorsing it, but the idea of like the podcast being like a social opportunity that is relatively rare in your day-to-day life. Like, you don't, how often do you, I mean, you work with your friends, so it's a little bit different, but like Kevin's just, you know, like me, a loser at home.
Kevin, defend yourself.
It's true.
So
It's true.
I would say,
And I like it that way.
the one thing that because I've thought about this a lot, because I remember telling somebody, if you join YouTube to make friends, you've chosen the wrong reason to join YouTube, because it's not because
I'll fight you on
well, no,
this.
it's not because of YouTube. That I just say that a lot of people tell me they joined YouTube to have a community and to have friends, and then you speak to a lot of them and they go, why don't I have that? Some people do. Some people do. I'm just saying a lot of people say they don't. And it's because you start to realize that the platform doesn't give that to you. And I think when you were starting as a creator, when you were a young creator with a fresh look on life, you had motivation and there was less pressure to produce videos and to put work into it. And I remember I would do things that I would never do now just because of how time wasteful it is. Like I was kind of like, I need dry ice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my university downtown, which is like a 20-minute drive, have lunch with a friend of mine who I haven't seen in a while. I spent 2 hours with him just so that he would give me a handful of dry ice. It literally took like 4 hours. And then what happened though is I found out that I had a budget and there's also a dry ice supplier closer to me. So I stopped going to see my friend for that purpose. But I'm saying that when I was starting on YouTube, that was a totally viable thing. And when you have no budget, I would go and just like help people for hours for like a small little thing. Whereas now I'm just like, no, I don't have time to do that.
You know what you said to me when we first met?
What? I'm ready to defend myself.
Once my channel got big, I was waiting for people to like.
Oh,
hit
yeah,
me
yeah,
up.
yeah. And never happened.
But why were you waiting for that? Where did that expectation come from?
Waiting. It's this, like, it's not an expectation, but this is why I'm saying that.
No, but you were saying that you were kind of confused, or it was like you just sort of thought, people were going to like start hitting you up to do things.
No, because you model it, at least I did. I find that I've spoken to some people who do it like that too. You kind of model YouTube as what your experience in, like you said, like a normal job or like school, where the answer was like, dude, if I go to class every day, I'm just bound to make friends. So like the idea was, I'll just keep putting out YouTube videos. You build a community. It's like you're just bound to bump into people and make friends. And the answer is kind of like, no, it's not like a class where I'm just sitting next to the same person all the time and I end up I don't know. I never thought about it when I was in school. Whereas on YouTube, it's like, no, you do have to reach out to people. You have to put in like an active effort to build a community, or else it doesn't just happen.
Yeah, but it's not that far away from just being in class sitting next to somebody.
It's not, because you could go reach out to pretty much any YouTuber.
I did.
And just
I actually
like,
did reach out to a well-known science YouTuber, and it's weird.
Oh, no.
Never responded to me. And then after that, I just
Well,
quit.
the conversation was generally pleasant.
I thought you were saying generally bad. And you could.
Just like the real world, you plan on doing something. Yeah, we're totally going to do it this weekend, and then
But it's
then it never happens.
so that's
What is this about? Is this podcast about how to make friends?
Yes.
Is that where we are?
how to lose friends.
no. I think that it's kind of too where like I was mentioning to a friend the other day too, because they're complaining about how they're just like nobody likes doing anything anymore. And I was like, yeah, partly from the pandemic maybe, but they're like, no, it just doesn't happen. And I go, yeah, because when you were in school, everyone was in the same like kind of level in life, same goals, same everything. You didn't have to put any effort into it. I'm like, but now you're living a life post university or school where you have to put in effort.
I think that's what it is more than
It
anything.
is, but it's also 2 years, 2.5, or 3 years post COVID as well. I think that 3 years kind of blindfolded people to some of the natural changes they would have experienced.
Yes, I do agree. I just think that making connections with anybody is work. Like is genuinely a lot of work. And I went into YouTube just thinking it was like university, where you're just like, man, because I knew everyone in my program. There's stuff every weekend. Like I was hanging out with someone all the time. But then I go to YouTube and I'm like, if I'm just there enough, people like I'm bound to interact. And then I was like, nope. But I mean, even just Twitter interactions, it's like it's like going to random parties all the time. That's a terrible example, actually. It's just that in order to make like to know you.
Well, what about that Minecraft server we were a part of? The Epic SMP? You know, we played on that for a while.
Yeah.
You could have kept playing on it and hanging out with them. That was probably like the lowest barrier to entry of hanging out with YouTubers, you know, just get to play video games.
But it's like,
yeah.
But the question is like, then how would you, like, do you talk to any of those? You talk to some of them, right? That you met in there?
Yeah, depends. Like some people just you have more in common with than others.
Yeah. I just think it just takes
I think
effort.
that's maybe what, you know, Nigel's kind of saying is you think you're all going to be one community, but it's still like you can't be friends with everybody. You still have to have something in common with them besides, I guess, making videos.
That's kind of the whole like arc of this, right? Is that I feel like early YouTube, up until, you know, maybe 5 years ago, maybe a little bit more, was very kind of, it felt like a community. It felt like you could kind of like grab it and hold it up. And it was communal, right? Like Maker Studios had a physical space in like Santa Monica or something, and there was you know, like even like Casey Neistat with the whole 368 thing, right? It was like trying to build this thing. They had the YouTube space, which is a physical location that, you know, multiple across the world, where YouTube made it so that you could go there and collaborate and use the studios
messed that
and
up,
equipment.
though. They said that you have to have like an appointment.
It was extremely bad, and they really did a horrible job doing it. And I want them to know that they did a horrible job. I think they already know. I don't have to explain it to them. But you know what I thought the first time? I was like, oh, I'm going to go to the YouTube space. There's going to be YouTube people there. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be, and it was like a doctor's office. It was horrible.
Yeah.
It was kind of depressing.
At the end of the day, I think that putting people in the same room and like providing opportunities for connections like VidCon, where we met, is the most important part of making YouTube, to me, feel like that work environment where you are friends with your coworkers, which I see a lot of posts on Reddit that talk about how much they like hate their coworkers and they don't want to be friends with people or hang out with them outside of work, which to me is fine, but it also feels extremely antisocial and introverted unless you really hate these people. Because
usually people aren't horrific. Usually you do get some horrific
people. Just like to complain. If you made a post saying, oh, I love my coworkers, everything's fine, you're only going to see the worst of the worst getting pushed
I
up.
do want to say one thing though, Will. Like, I think the VidCon, I agree with you on everything you said pretty much, but it's like, I think VidCon is a good example of what I was talking about. You could view that as like going back to school to a certain extent, where it's like everyone's there with a common goal. The event's like 4 days, like no one has, and everyone's just there for the same reason for a set amount of time. So it's like everyone just wants to hang out. Everyone's goal is to hang out. It's like I met you, I met a whole, well, probably like the majority of the creators I know. I just met from that one
At that
VidCon.
one event. Yep.
But then the question is like, how many did I meet over the internet? And then how many did I meet after that over the internet? And the answer is a fraction of that. And then when did I meet people again? Creator Clash, VidCon again.
Yep.
I think the problem is YouTube is a social platform, but in reality, you never really get to meet. Like, you don't ever become friends with anyone unless you kind of do something for a long period of, or a significant period of time.
That's real life,
Yeah.
though. I mean, it's always going to be like difficult to make friends with people, and some people are just built different than others. But I would say it's a lot easier to become friends with people based off of even a single in-person.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying.
experience.
I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm saying that online, even though it's like a social platform, even if you put in all the effort and meet people, they're not really. It doesn't really feel real until you're in person, and you kind of like see each other's mannerisms. You're kind of like, okay,
You can't
cool.
spit on them.
Like
You
we're
don't really
friends.
know them.
Yeah.
So unless you have those in-person events, you will not. It's never feels right that you really know the person.
Like any other relationship, you only get out, what you are willing to put in.
No, for sure.
And I've met a couple of YouTubers, where I'm like, oh, this is a cool person, and I'd like to hang out with them more, but I feel like it's harder to hang out as friends with a lot of YouTubers because they're very they have a one-track mind a lot of the time, and it's content. And
yeah, but that's I feel a part of the experience of meeting new people is sometimes they are on the same page, and sometimes you think they're on the same page, but they actually have some squirrel brain or some you never know.
Yeah.
And you end up figuring it out eventually. Like you can filter out who's doing what for why, and I think that's kind of a part of like the bigger discussion of like why I'm on YouTube is like why do I like doing this? There's reasons I don't like doing it. There's reasons I do like doing it. And one of the reasons is the socialization. And so it's like I am always down to just do stuff, making a video or not making a video. Some people just they don't care about anything else. It's like, nope, I got to go do this. Like they're either antisocial or they just have, got to do the thing. Maybe they don't like you. That's fine. But having those in-person experiences will provide the opportunity to meet people that don't want to hang out with you and people that do want to hang out with you.
it's true.
Oh, 100%. Absolutely.
You miss every swing you don't swing. How does that go?
But
not like that.
moving on. I won't tell you. Just leave you hanging.
No.
That's what I think. I think why the recent VidCon was kind of weird, especially because it was sponsored by TikTok. I spoke to some of the TikTokers. I'm a TikToker, so like
That's slang.
I got them. I understood them. But one of them told me, they go, this is the first event I've ever been to that someone else does TikTok. And he's like, there's kind of never been a major event. So he goes, half the people here have never met in person, more than half. This is their first interaction in person, even though some of them have known each other for like a year or more just over TikTok.
Well, yeah, TikTok's, kind of new relatively. And during COVID is, I would say it was definitely blowing up then too.
And a lot of YouTubers blew up too. So then you have this event where probably I'd say the majority of people have never met each other.
Yeah.
I remember walking into the room and being like, I don't recognize anybody. So then you turn to the person you do know. And I think everyone kind of did that.
It's also an extremely diverse group of creators. It was like way too diverse.
We need less diversity.
We need less. We need we need to concentrate them into YouTube long form content and short form content. I think there's something a little bit cursed about bringing two platforms into the same event.
But I think that it will eventually blend together.
Now that you can post shorts on your channel and not have them appear right next to your main videos.
No, I think that's just in the app. I think it's still a disaster on your channel. I know.
No, really?
Yeah, no.
Kevin thought he had.
Do you think they would do it? You think they would do it how they should have done it from the very beginning, and then spend like a year trying to do it, and then never do it? It took them this long to separate the shorts and long form and live streaming in the app. They should have had 3 apps. I think that separating them in the app is definitely the right way to do it, and I don't know why it took so long. All right, well, that was fun. If you would like to make friends with us, you can pay us money on our Patreon. Safety Theory
how any
Patreon.
true friendship starts.
This is how every true friend. Hey, I've made friends.
Actually, that's not even
with
that.
people that.
Yeah, that's not that inaccurate.
There are many people
That you've paid
that I
to
have
be
met in
friends
real life
with.
and become friends with that I have paid to be friends with.
Yes.
So that's no promises, but we hired 2 people. I've paid 1, 2, 3, 4 people
From the server.
5. Wait, oh my God! Almost everyone who did the Squid Game video, who was like engineering that project, were people that watched my videos. Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah, I was actually confused when I went there. I was like, where'd all these people come from? They're all like,
they're William Osman fans. That is
we're just
so
Discord guys, and I'm like, oh, cool.
My God, wow, that's actually astounding.
So if you get on the Discord, you can get hired. Are you looking for a job? Join the Discord.
I'm kind of freaking out now. I just realized all my friends are people that I've met because they watch my videos.
Oh God. See, that is how you leverage your channel for community.
Anyways, if you want to support the podcast, we have a Patreon. You get things. We've got 2 tiers. You get extras, which I swear to God, they don't get posted, and we're going to post. There's going to be a flood of them once we have somebody editing them. And if you're in the advanced Gigabrain tier, what is it, Galaxy Brain?
Yeah.
I'll send you a Polaroid. So thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon. Here's the names of those people floating around on the screen. All 10,000 of them.
10,000?
It's not 10,000. No, it's not. It's not even. I think actually I have no idea how many it is.
It's probably like...
How many?
You can check.
I don't know. Like 3? At least 3.
That's quite a bit.
All right, we're going to record an extra right now. We're going to do a Q&A. I feel like we haven't done those. We've ignored those. We're going to ask very interesting questions, such as we'll give you a teaser. We're going to give you guys a teaser right now.
We should all give.
These questions are going to be extremely good, and you're going to hear them, and
we should give teaser answers.
I have to go. Yes, yeah, exactly. So here's the first question. I think we answered this last time, but Patreon question: is the Patreon questions dead? No.
Wait, you can't answer that question already. Oh wait, what happened to Kevin?
Oh,
my camera died. Podcast
Here's the question:
over.
are you guys truly friends or using each other for clout?
Yes.
Ooh, that one's good. That one. That's going to be a deep, dirty answer. If you want to hear the truth about us being friends in real life, or if it is just purely a business relationship, you're going to have to pay money. You're going to have to pay money.
I think that answers the question. Next.
This question is: this channel should be hacked for nefarious purposes. Agree or disagree?
What channel?
You know, I think that hinting at the questions probably is actually going to make this push to Patreon even worse.
What questions are these?
They're on the server, the exclusive Discord server you get access to as
you join,
a Patreon member of the Safety Third podcast.
If you join, you can ask better questions.
You get exclusive content immediately to videos like eating dog food or human food, where we eat dog food. That's right. We will do anything for money.
Is that one out?
Yeah, that one's been out for a while. And I really think that I should figure out how to publish it publicly. You know what? Screw it. I'm just going to do it now.
Wait, what? You're just going to post it live?
I'm just going to publish. Yeah. I'm just going to live publish the dog food video.
You're just going to post
it. Chelsea's telling me. Yeah?
So go watch the dog food video. There's more of that where that came from, but not really, because that was just a really good video.
Yeah, that's a banger. Verified banger. I can't do it right now. I'm not logged in.
No, you shouldn't.
I'll do it. We'll do it. Do I have to do it right now? What if we do it right when this podcast posts? Or do we just do it now?
Live.
Do it live? Damn it. Okay, give me a second. This is going to take me live.
Shouldn't this podcast be ending?